Today's guest is someone who's changing lives, not just in classrooms, but in living rooms and learning spaces across the country. We're talking about dyslexia, something that affects up to 1 in 5 students, and yet too often families are told to wait and see. Well, Russell B. Van Brocklen, the Dyslexia Professor, isn't waiting on anything. He's an educator, a program creator, and a relentless advocate who flips the script on dyslexia. He takes what feels like daily frustration, the tears, the shutdowns, the homework wars, and transforms it into confident academic wins. His structured literacy strategies, brain-based routines, and multisensory learning systems are helping students move from "I'm dumb" to "I can do this." Families walk away from his programs with clarity, hope, and a proven path forward. And today, he's bringing all that wisdom right here to the CJ Moneyway Show. Russell, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, what's up, Russ, man? Welcome to the show, man. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. Just got done with an hour-and-a-half swim, so I feel invigorated.
An hour and a half? Man, them legs must be powerful, man. I don't want to come mess with you right now, man. So Russ, man, so how you doing, man? So let's get down to it, man. Understanding dyslexia in real life. What do most parents misunderstand about this, and why is it a wait-and-see approach, and how do this fail so many kids?
All right. Well, first of all, just you know what dyslexia is. There is so much snake oil nonsense in my industry, so I'm going to go right to the best book. This is Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shaywitz. She's a medical doctor from Yale. This is second edition. I'm going to turn to page 78. Figure number 23. Now, do you see how the back part of your brain has all this massive neural activity right here? Okay. Now, do you see how the back part of my brain has next to nothing going on in the back?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, there's a diagram. Okay.
Now, do you see how the front part of my brain's about 2.5 times overactive?
Yeah.
Okay. I had this weird idea. Let's take the information, instead of trying to process it back here where we got nothing going on, to the front part of the brain where we got 2.5 times the neural activity. I'm going to give you a football analogy. I want you to imagine the 98-pound proverbial weakling on a high school football team, a real one, okay, like one down in Texas. Can't throw the ball more than 5 yards, all right? His body's just not designed for it. It's like putting him into quarterback and he's going to get crushed. Now, I want you to imagine we increased his size and strength by 2.5 times. He's throwing that ball down 50 yards. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the reading and writing context and I'm moving it from back here where we got next to nothing going on. And I'm moving it up here to the front part where we have everything going on. Why is this important? Because what the research clearly shows, just so you know how it generally works in the United States, from kindergarten through 3rd grade, where we essentially learn to read. From 4th and above, we read to learn. So the research is crystal clear. You should have your school district contact Yale. Just Google Yale dyslexia and it'll come up. And you contact them and you say, Yale, how do we judge if a kid's dyslexic in kindergarten? And they'll tell you it's something like $40, $50 a kid. It's not that expensive. The teacher can do it. Once you find out, then all you have to do is go back to Yale. Yeah, we got 14 dyslexic kids in this grade. How do we correct this? And they will tell you exactly what to do for the school system. Then by the end of 3rd grade, they'll be at or close to grade level. Why is this important? Because if you wait until after 3rd grade, which typically happens, then once you hit 4th grade, now you're in, I'm just going to tell you about New York State, you're going to be sending the kid to a place like Windward School, which is $75,000 a year. And they have a fantastic 98% success rate. The kids comes in, they're there for 4 to 5 years. On average, they send them back. $75,000 a year, and that's not living expenses. That's just tuition. So, and that could have been fixed if they bothered to contact Yale in kindergarten. Now, Where do I come in? Oh, sorry. Does that kind of sound ridiculous to you? Driving $75K a year?
Hey, yeah, I mean, I'm listening, man. Hey, so let me ask you this before you move on real quick, Russ, man. So, like, am I hearing, like, the teachers can call Yale and they can get information to find out if a child may be dyslexic. And if they find out they are, like you said, maybe 14, and then they'll give you the process and the steps to take to help them with this. In a sense, I guess my question is, so are the school systems in this area actually failing the kids?
Oh, absolutely. Because again, all you have to do, and you don't have to go to Yale. This is just the number one book and probably about the number one center. There's a bunch of them that tell you the same thing. All you have to do is pick up the phone, call Yale. How do I know if a kid's dyslexic in kindergarten? And they will tell you, and the teacher can administer it. Mm-hmm. Then how do I fix it? And these are programs that are like $1 million each, funded by the federal government, the top science on the planet. And they tell you. Now, if you wait until fourth grade, now you're instead of this being relatively inexpensive, now you're in a $75,000 school for the next 4 to 5 years. And parents literally do sue their schools to send their kid to these private schools. Happens all the time. The federal judges ask the school, did you do the Yale thing or something similar? No, gross negligence. Not negligence, gross unforgivable negligence. So my spot came in, how do we fix this thing? The first thing I did is I said, the worst problem is in high school. So I decided, what if we were to go after the most brilliant students, the most highly motivated, all right, and see if we could fix that. These are rare kids. So what I did is I went to New York State Senate and I said, I want you to fund my research. They don't fund dyslexia research. Took me years, but I finally convinced them. So what we did, this was back in the 00s, is we took for 2 years the smartest, most intelligent dyslexic students at the Averill Park Central School District, right outside of Albany, New York. And the kids went, remember, these are super intelligent, super motivated kids. They were juniors and seniors in high school, reading and writing at the middle school level. 1 class period a day for the school year, they increased their writing to average range of entering graduate school students. They bypassed high school, they bypassed college. They all went on to college, they all graduated, grade point averages of 2.5 to 3.6, cost to New York State taxpayers of under $900. Now, what happened? How was that possible? Well, here's the book again. It's right there. I looked at the front part of the brain, and as you can clearly see, it's 2.5 times overactive. According to Yale, they said this was about articulation followed by word analysis. So I kind of did almost nothing with word analysis. I just did the articulation thing because I looked at the graduate records exam, analytical writing, analytical articulation, same thing. That was my breakthrough. But then when I presented this in New York City in 2006 at the International Dyslexia Association's New York City branch conference, the teachers came back with 2 things. They said, first of all, does this work with normal kids? And I said, absolutely not. This works for your elite. You're super motivated. You're super intelligent. And they said, there are very few of those. Come back when you can work on this with normal kids. And the professors came to me and they said, some of your students scored in the 70th percentile of entering graduate students. They said, we don't care. We want the craft of research. So the craft of what? The craft of research. It's a book for PhD students on how to do doctoral dissertations. And since that time, they dropped it to like super high school kids. And I was like, are you kidding me? And they said, that's what we want. And essentially what you do is you put everything on the same page called context, do a really evolved problem statement, and then you come up with a solution so innovative, the teacher actually learns something substantive. And I'm like, you want me to drop this to high school kids? And they said, yes. It's like, okay. So I left there and I had to do all of this and I took off 8 years. So now I'm going to come back and for your listeners, I'm going to show you a base form of context, getting everybody on the same page, as well as how to do what is the biggest problem for a lot of parents. They're dyslexic kids writing a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words. I'm going to show you how to fix that right now. No 2 years of training required. Okay. Do you know any dyslexic elementary school kids?
I don't myself. And that was going to be my next question for you as I'm sitting here listening to you. You know, you say that it was gross negligence. You know what I'm saying? Like teachers didn't identify.
That's a federal judge talking, not me, a federal judge.
No. I'm saying you said that, you know, about the school and things of that nature. So I tried to form this question. Like you showed us as far as video, you showed us the form of the brain, you know, so this is also audio too. So I guess my question is this, Russ. How can somebody detect that a child is dyslexic? You know what I'm saying? Or even had a thought like maybe they may have dyslexia or things of that nature. What are the signs that somebody can see that would say, you know what, let me check and see if this what this may be?
Okay, but let me just be clear. When I was talking about gross negligence with the school, that's a federal judge talking. I hear it. I read it all the time. In those cases, I'm not saying that that's the federal judge. So when you're talking about for boys and girls, it's very different. Boys, you can tell really fast because they're super frustrated and they act out. And when I mean they act out. So you can tell they're just not learning their ABCs in kindergarten. But girls, a lot of times they'll just sit there and take it for years. So people don't think girls have dyslexia as much. It's because they tend to be much more polite about it. So, but once you find out, once they're starting acting out, they're just not learning to read or write. They're being behind. That's when you can tell. Now, how do you fix that? What's the initial fix? So I want you to imagine, did you ever know an elementary school kid who had a real problem writing? They're writing randomly placed misspelled words. Ever run across that kid? Ever?
Yeah, that kid probably was me. You know what I'm saying? Okay. As I'm listening to you about to read and all of that. So I'm listening.
Okay, so when you were in elementary school, were you writing a bunch of essentially randomly placed misspelled words?
And couldn't write. And to this day, I still ain't got good penmanship.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how we fix that. All right, and the program at those private schools is called Orton-Gillingham. If Bill Gates had a grandkid, this is what he would do. It takes 2 years after a bachelor's degree and $11,000 at a non-for-profit. I'm not going to do that. We're going to show you how to do this within the next few minutes. So what we're going to do is I want you to think back to when you were like 8, and we're going to show you how to fix that. Okay, now your first name is CJ, so should I just call your old self CJ?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so when you were 8, first thing that we're going to do is we have to figure out what your speciality is. Your area of extreme interest and ability. Okay? When you were 8, what was the one thing that you really loved, you were real good at?
Sports.
Give me a specific sport.
Basketball.
Okay, first thing we're going to do is you're going to write out 10 things that you really, really like. And then 10 things you really, really hate, just can't stand. All right? Then we're going to have you open up a laptop computer. And this would be like your mom back then. But we'll just assume it's today. We're going to have you open up a laptop computer. You're not handwriting ever again because to write the letter W and then compared to hitting the key takes so much mental energy it crashes the system. All right. You can't type on an iPhone or an iPad. You need a real keyboard. So most people use laptops. You're going to type out. Your mom's going to type out hero, plus sign. What are we talking about? All right. Then you're going to copy it. And I can hear it now. You can't copy. It's wrong. Professor James Collins, Strategies for Struggling Writers, Default Writing Strategy of Copying, if you want to look it up. So your mom's going to type out hero, plus sign. What are we talking about? You're going to copy it. Then we're going to replace hero for CJ. CJ, plus sign. What are we talking about? So we're going to go to that list and find your favorite thing. Number 1, basketball. And we got CJ plus sign. What are we talking about? We're going to swap out what are we talking about for basketball. CJ plus sign basketball. See how we got there? Now I'm going to try to fool you with asking you the simplest questions you will ever be asked. If you follow them exactly, this works. If you don't, it doesn't. Do you think I'll be able to fool you with the simplest questions ever?
Yeah, I believe that you can because you probably got a lot of practice doing this, Russell. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
Hey, this is my 132nd podcast from PodMatch. So yeah, I've done this a few times. So here we go. So we got CJ plus sign basketball. We need a word to swap out for the plus sign. Here's my question. When you were a kid, did CJ like or dislike basketball?
Like.
Good. You're one of the few people that actually got that correct. Now put that word, replace the plus sign. Tell me the 3-word sentence.
CJ liked basketball.
You have beaten PhDs. You have beaten certified teachers because you did exactly what I asked. You know what happens most of the time? They will automatically add the S. So CJ likes basketball. Okay. But the problem is dyslexics don't know how to add the S. So we got to figure out how do we do that. Now, if you got a salary of one of these famous football players, okay, I want you to imagine you're making $20 million a year, $10 million after Uncle Sam, and your grandkid is struggling. They're crying in school. They're 7 years old. They just can't do anything. And this dyslexic school comes to you and says, for $75,000 a year, we've been doing this for 50 years. We will have a 98% success rate. We'll take your grandson. We will turn him into the best possible student he can get, the best possible education you can get anywhere in the world. Are you going to drop that $75K?
You say for my grandson?
Yeah, you got the money.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But most of us don't have $75K for 4 to 5 years sitting around. We don't have house money. So here's what they would do to get the S is they would have you see it, touch it, hear it. They're using all the senses they can. This system hasn't changed much since the 1950s. All right. And this is what the wealthy use. It works. It's called Orton-Gillingham structured language, multisensory structured language. I'm going to flip it forward. I'm going to go from the back part of the brain, just so everybody knows again, here's the brain image. I'm going to flip that from the back part of the brain to the front part where we got the neuroactivity. So what I did to do that is I flipped, instead of articulation followed by word analysis, I did word analysis followed by articulation. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how do we do that. When we now have CJ like basketball, how do we fix that? We ask you to read that out loud, and then we ask, does that sound generally correct? You would have said no. Fix it. CJ likes basketball. We do 10 likes and 10 dislikes until you're getting it correct. The repetition in this system is massive. Now, can you see how like and dislike is a very simple form of word analysis?
This episode is brought to you by CJ Moneyway Media, where podcast ideas become platforms. Through the Moneyway Lab Masterclass, CJ shares real lessons from the lab for creators building their voices brick by brick. From powerful guest conversations to storytelling that inspires growth. CJ Moneyway Media is about one thing, building legacy through stories. Learn more at cjmoneyway.com.
Music style.
Okay, front part of the brain. Now we have CJ likes basketball, but now we have to do articulation. So we're going to go CJ likes basketball because reason 1, when you were 8, why did you like basketball?
Magic Johnson.
CJ likes basketball because Magic Johnson was his favorite player. Something like that?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see how the reasons are a very simple form of articulation? Okay. So we're doing word analysis, like and dislike, the reasons, a form of articulation. Now we're moving everything up to the front part of the brain. Okay. Well, we have 2.5 times the neuroactivity. Now, here we go. CJ likes basketball because he likes Magic Johnson. Can you see now we got a whole mess of misspelled words?
CJ likes Magic Johnson. CJ likes basketball.
When you were 8, you would have had a whole mess of misspelled words with that?
I don't know. I mean, some of them words kind of simple, you know. So I don't know if I'd have had a lot of misspelled words in that. I think I can spell magic. My last name is Johnston, so I was hoping I could spell my last name.
Well, if you had misspelled words, here's how you would have fixed it. First thing that you do is you tell them to drop the period. Then you tell them to read it out loud, and does it sound generally correct? If it doesn't, you tell them to fix it. Okay, we're not doing about spelling. We're just doing about grammar. Okay. We're making it sound generally correct because the teachers don't know what to do with the really nasty grammar errors. If it sounds correct, we got rid of that. We got rid of probably half the medium ones and some of the little ones. The teachers can handle little ones and medium ones. They're trained. They got like 6 years education, a lot of experience. Now for the spelling, we tell you, I would have told you at 8th grade, remember, you're typing everything. If you can't type, I don't care if it's 2 fingers. Eventually, you'll get quicker. What we're going to do is say you got to retype it until you got all the spelling correct. You make one mistake, you got to retype it. It's going to take you about 3 to 13 times to get that correct. Okay? Because what happens is as you're retyping, you're like, I'm not going to make that mistake. And you keep making it until... As you go down further, you're going to concentrate harder and harder. That's where the magic happens in your head. Around 9 to 13 times, sometimes you can see sweat coming down the kid's forehead. They're concentrating that much. Then eventually you get it right. Then you got to do reason 1. You got to get all the spelling right for 10 likes and 10 dislikes. Then we go ahead with reason 1 and reason 2. You got to get all the spelling right for all 20. Then reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. Okay, if you're talking about 5th grader, this could take about 4 to 6 weeks. You're talking about a 4th grader, it could take 3 months. Here's the beauty about my system. The older you are, the quicker you pick it up. Okay? Now, what I just told you will take the kid from writing randomly placed misspelled words to writing at the end of 2nd, beginning 3rd grade level. And that took about 10 minutes. Here's the other important thing. If you can write a word, you can read it. Let me repeat that. If you can write it, you can read it. I don't teach reading. Once the kids can write really well, their reading goes up just a little bit behind. And so that's like the third part of the model. But when I tried this, I couldn't get the kids to do anything. So then I realized what really works well, because I'm dyslexic myself. I talk to a lot of dyslexic professors, and we excel in grad school. Day 1 grad school, we own the place, or soon thereafter. Why? Hyper-focused on what we love to do. It's like you playing basketball all the time at 8. You're interested because you love it and you're good at it. All right. So to get these kids during the intervention period until they're at grade level, we have to focus on their area of speciality. Let me give you an example, just so your audience knows. I never saw this before. I will never see this again. This is a one-off. This is not normal. All right. Dealt with Casey. She was 10 years old at the end of 5th grade, reading and writing at the 2nd grade level. She was turned 11 over the summer. She's really interested in Theodore Roosevelt, and she was really firm. I'm doing reading first. I said, okay, Casey, here's the process. Like, yeah, good luck. 20, 30 minutes, maybe a session, maybe a couple of times a week. Talk to your mom. Yeah, I didn't know Casey. I gave her this little thing. The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt. All 900 pages of it. She locked herself in her room 2 to 3 hours a night for 6 months. She knew every word of that book. She jumped 8 grade levels in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked with her for 15 minutes a week. So people think that this can't be done. I'm like, yeah, a little girl did this on her own.
Wow.
So why am I spending so much time on this? Because I have to tell you the most important thing is that speciality if you're going to solve this problem. Her mom said, is that just for Theodore Roosevelt or can it move to another book? So I gave her this little book, Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination. All 1,000 pages. Why? Ever been to Disney World, Disneyland at all?
I haven't, and I've been talking about it with a coworker of mine for a long time, and that's on our bucket list too.
Well, you go into the Magic Kingdom, Main Street, USA. That's Marceline, Missouri. where Walt was between 5 and 10. He spent his entire life trying to get back there. There are 2 universal themes to the Disney magic. She took 3 months to find them. Usually takes 2 to 3 years. All right. And it transferred over. Here's why. I got her mom on the phone when I had this conversation because parents get a real kick when I do this. I said, Casey, what did you think of that Disney book? I hated it. I was like, okay, here's the question. How much did your motivation drop when you went to Disney? That's the key point I want you to understand. She said about 50%. So the most motivated kid I ever worked with, down 50%. All right. Then just, she went and with my permission, her mom's permission, she literally destroyed her book. All right. She hated it that much. Most kids, you're down 75, 80%. So what I would need parents to understand is the school system is not trying to mess over their dyslexic kids or ADD or ADHD, because the solution is the same for that group as well. Because 80+% of their students are not neurodiverse. So if you have a typical kid in a public school, if they do 2 things, if they plan properly and they work really hard, they're going to do well to very well. Same thing with you in basketball. When you were a kid, if you planned your practices properly, the right coach, the right instruction at the right time, and you practice a lot really hard, you're going to do a lot better than almost anybody else. Because you got the talent. And as Michael Jordan said, he was benched in high school. He just worked harder than anybody else. Now, with a dyslexic, they can work twice as hard as the hardest working kid and still go nowhere. Okay? So the key, because our brains are so different, so the key thing is during the intervention period, if you want these kids to do anything, you have to keep them. I get them 1 book, and we stick to that book until they're reading and writing on it fluently. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, this is going to be very important to you. I want you to think about now, what's your speciality? What's your area of extreme interest and ability?
Man, what's my specialty?
Like right now, you can just pick one of probably a few things. What are you really good at? What do you love doing?
Talking
on podcasting, right?
Talking.
Okay. All right. Now I want you to think about when you're thinking about talking on a podcast, do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed? Key question, but with little to no organization. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. I mean, that can happen.
Okay. Now I want you to think about, you want to write something about podcasting. Fingers, keyboard. The idea's in your head. You take your fingers, put them on the keyboard. When that happens, does the idea fly out of your head, leaving you with an empty brain? Or is that not you?
Nah, I think once you start typing in and start getting things out of your head and start regenerating more stuff to add on and keep going.
Okay. So what that tells me is that you probably have ADHD or mild dyslexia. Okay. If you said yes to the second one, that's a strong indication of severe dyslexia, but that's not you. All right. So basically, here's what's going on in your head. Here's how we got to fix this. We have to force your brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. Let me say that again. You got ideas flying around your head at light speed, but with little to no organization. So we got to force your brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. How do we do that? We don't do what the schools do, which is start with a big picture and move it down. So let's talk about probably the most important American of the 20th century, Martin Luther King. All right. We do not ask this. We don't ask, what effect did Martin Luther King, famous I Have a Dream speech, have on the American civil rights movement in the 1960s? Can you see if you were asked that question in high school, be like, where do I start?
Yeah.
Okay. We ask a specific to a general question. We would ask, what personally compelled Martin Luther King to want to give his famous I Have a Dream speech? All right. We start off with that very specific question. We look it up. We have an answer. That answer will give us another question, which gives us an answer. That forces your brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to hold you right there because I'm working on something. And so I pulled out some stuff yesterday. And as you were showing me, look what I found in my notebooks. writing that I was doing back then to release some of the stuff that I was feeling at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I started. Actually, when I went back, I didn't even know that was the blueprint of me starting my book. My first vision of me starting my book, I was releasing what I was feeling at that time or whatever. That was probably that had to be 2000, the year 2000.
Yeah.
I just pulled it back out last night.
Yeah. So what happens with us is, remember, we got 2.5 times the brain activity. We're thinking so much, but what this does, again, during an intervention, forces us to really organize that. So all of these problems that just take forever now start to fix themselves. So again, what's the model? We start off with the kids really interested in the specialty. We get an audio book that we grow into at least a year or two ahead of where we want to be at the time. We go from the specific to the general, and we do word analysis followed by articulation. What happens when parents teach this? Everybody kept saying, well, get us some data on this. So I said, fine. Last December 27th, I met Kimberly. She just got her son Reed, who was in 5th grade, tested by the state of Ohio. He was reading at the 11th percentile. He was writing at the 4th. 6 months later, he's reading at the 64th percentile, writing at the 65th. His friends come to him. They go, Reed, we want you in public school to be with us for social reasons. And Reed says, okay. He goes in. Not special ed. He's in normal classes, getting A's and B's, because his mother did what every parent dreamed. They solved the problem herself. It wasn't like she was working with him 8 hours a day. It was an hour and a half a week for 6 months. And I worked with her for 30 minutes a week on average. Some weeks they did more. Some weeks they did less. It averaged out an hour and a half. 36 hours. That's it. That's how powerful this is.
Let me ask you this, Russell, man. I really appreciate your time coming on, man. And on that note, since we on that, I only got a couple more questions for you because, man, you almost answered everything. You know what I'm saying? It was true. I love this. Hey, so hope, confidence, and empowering parents, as you were just talking about. Let me ask you this. What's the one message you want every discouraged parent to hear today?
Well, if you work on this is for you. Just forget about the school. By the time you finish with the school, you could have just solved it yourself. All right. Find out what your kid's specialty is. You're going to teach them from the specific to the general, and you're going to do word analysis followed by articulation. I gave you the basic stuff to get the basic sentences. Then we can show you how to do more advanced stuff. And when parents tell me, but my kid will never learn to write, I routinely show kids how to write at the high school level where they are beating the vast majority of AP English students, and when they essentially leave high school with the ability to write as a college senior.
So, okay, on that note, where can families begin their journey with you, man?
If they want to learn more, they simply go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's plural, dyslexiaclasses.com with an S. There's a little button there that says download free report. Answer a couple of questions, download the guide. It's the 3 reasons your child is having trouble in school due to dyslexia. Then you actually have to go and make an appointment to speak with me. Because then it's a half an hour. There's no cost. I tell you what your kid's specialty is. I tell you what book and what audio book to get. And sometimes I'm like, here's one of the kids I'm working with. I'm not joking. I'm just going to call him Bob. He's 13. His favorite thing is a chemistry video on literally how to turn paint thinner into cherry soda. He said it's for kids his age. I said, Bob, it's not. It's for college juniors. Okay? That's how specialized that is. That's what keeps his focus. Yeah. All right. I got to show you how to do that. I can't really tell you how to do that.
Yeah. And so, Russ, man, yeah, that was interesting. So let me ask you, man, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find Russell at, man, where we can get in contact with you?
Well, the best thing, again, is go to dyslexiaclasses.com and click on download free guide. I'm also very heavy on LinkedIn. We do some things with the other social medias, but I focus most on LinkedIn because I tend to get the most serious engagement there.
Okay. So, Russell, man, just give us one last thing, man, that's on your heart that you would like to share with the audience, man, before we get out of here.
Well, I just love, this is a quote from Walt Disney in the early 1960s. He said, it's fun to do the impossible. And I've done that so many times in the field of dyslexia.
I like it. I like it. Hey, so Russell, man, that was powerful. You gave parents the tools, the confidence, and the hope that they've been searching for. Family, if today's message hit home, don't wait. Grab the free guide Russell mentioned. It's the first step towards helping your child strive academically and emotionally. And as he just said to me, he said, I may be a bit tad, have some of these symptoms. And I kind of, I joke with people all the time, Russell, when they come on here about ADHD and things of that nature. Because I've had people to say that they got diagnosed when they was 60 years old. They successful business people and this and that. And I told my wife once, I say, man, this one man I wouldn't be surprised if that was me, you know what I'm saying? Because some of the things that they talk about when they were younger, they felt like they was different. You know what I'm saying? They always felt like they was different. But back then, like I'm 52 years old. So back then, they wasn't really diagnosing these things, you know what I'm saying, or putting a label on you as they doing now. But I guarantee you, Russell, if they had this stuff back when I was in third grade, second grade, they were like, hey, something wrong with that boy. Y'all need to help him out because I was one of them kids. And so, Russell, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Hey, this your boy, CJ Moneyway, with my man, the Professor, Russell B. We out of here. Peace.
You've been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show. With real stories, real lessons, and real perspective come together. Remember, move with patience, move with purpose. That is the mindset of a panther. Until next time, keep building your legacy brick by brick. Music style.